helps having the coach because the coach, that's their job, is to see what you're doing wrong and to correct you into fixing those mistakes and creating better habits. So this has probably been one of the best investments I've ever made so far in my music.
Before you joined the program, what were the main things you needed a hand with on your production?
I would say quality and efficiency,
So
making tracks, finishing tracks, and just having that quality that can stand similar to professional tracks and mixed together.
and with that quantity and efficiency, how long was it taking before to finish a full song?
Sometimes a month
Hmm.
to finish one song. Now it's like maybe two two songs, three songs if I'm lucky per week, depending on my schedule, but
Hell
a
yeah.
whole lot faster now that I've got the efficiency from the program.
Awesome. So my main goal of the program is to get somebody from taking a lot longer, like 4 months of finishing songs to down to within a week. Do you feel like now, even though we did that on week 10 where you're able to do a full song start to finish in a week, do you feel like you could keep doing that now as well?
Oh yeah, as long as I keep at it, because it's one of those things to where it's like working out. If you
Yeah.
stop working out, then you'll lose that. So as long as I'm doing something at least one track a week, then I'll keep that muscle memory, I
Yeah,
guess, going.
absolutely. No, you're completely right. It is like working out. I've had that issue in the past where the moment I had a break for a month or something from writing music, it then became really hard to get back into that flow state of being efficient.
Mhm.
So very true, actually. I think that's a great analogy that it's like the gym. Yeah. And so what was the main things from the coaching that you liked the most? Because it's a very like custom built kind of thing. And we did a lot of high volume recreation stuff. So it was a very specific type of learning.
Figuring out the bottlenecks of each artist because each artist is different. So I'm glad you were able to figure out mine right away and point them out.
Mm,
And then when you handed me over to Callum to get, that's another good thing, is another extra set of ears
mm.
to see what I'm doing right or wrong really helped.
'Cause I feel like every coach is going to have their own strengths and weaknesses. So, me personally, my thing is really mixing and mastering and figuring out somebody's core problems. But sound design, me personally, I'm not the best at explaining sound design. Like, I wing it. I do this for this reason, but I'll get some good results. But if I was to explain it to a student, I wouldn't be the best bet. So that's why, it gets to that point where I feel like I've covered all I can with a student in terms of what I can provide. I'll pass it on to the next one because I feel like that person then is going to justice better than I could in that regard. So that's why I like to bring students to different coaches for that regard. Yeah. So I'm glad,
That really
yeah.
helps.
And so on that as well, because it's a very specific type of learning. So most people learn visually, auditorily, and then there's a
Hmm.
kinesthetic style of learning, which is what I favor because I must be autistic as fuck, honestly, because that's how I've always learned is kinesthetic learning, which is a lot of trial and error, hands on. So if I was in a
Yeah.
classroom and someone was saying, do this, then do this, then do this, I would really struggle to follow along with what they just said. I would need to just
Right.
do it
Right.
myself over and over. And then I'd be like, oh, now I really get it. So that's the kind of learning and teaching that I've applied to these programs where I'll set aside, we're going to do this much isolation work, repetition, and you do it in your own accord. But then you come back to me, and then we'll show you how close you got it and what you were lacking. What did you think about that style of learning?
That helped out a lot. It's like you said, you're able to really hone in on what you're doing wrong and seeing your coach told you to fix things.
Hmm.
I'm a slow learner, honestly. So I
Same.
feel like more practice at it with the feedback sessions will help.
Hmm.
But this is just a suggestion from me because I know there's probably also many people like me,
Hmm.
maybe taking in their project and fixing things
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then giving them an A B of, oh, this is what you were doing and what you're still doing. Let me show you what I mean and how to fix it. And
Hmm.
so that way it's easier to compare. Cutting template. I don't know if you've ever gotten a template from somebody
Hmm.
and then you see more or less, oh, this is the
Hmm.
reason why they did this. So now that I'm seeing it, it makes more sense opposed to just somebody telling you and then, oh, you go and do it. but then for some reason it still doesn't sound right.
Hmm.
What did they say? So then I have to go back to the video, and so that helps. Getting the recording really helped because I can go back and see, oh, he meant to talk about this here. But I feel like having an A-B project
Hmm.
might bring your students along even more
Hmm.
because then they'll be able to see exactly. So when a teacher gives you a paper, right,
Hmm.
and they grade it, and then you got an answer wrong, and then they showed you exactly on the paper what the problem should look like or the answer should look like,
Well, I
opposed
think
to just,
sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say, I think
no, it's okay, bro.
the best way to approach that is if I did that at the very end of the program, like very last week. Because if we did that,
Yeah, I think that would really help.
because if we did that earlier on, it would be across the 5 exercises, we would have to pick one of them, but then also we still wouldn't have figured out what the recurring bottlenecks are. So it's like even if somebody shows you their interpretation of what that specific track could have been better on, there was a lot of other problems that haven't been seen yet, so you don't know what the core problem is. But if it's at the end of the
Oh
program,
yes, yeah.
if it's
So
at the end of the program, I think that makes sense. So like that, I'm
for the
really
mat
consider
for the
that.
final exam,
Yeah, I'll definitely consider it because
yeah,
I think the
yeah,
end
I think
on
that
the
would work,
final.
bro.
I think at the end, the final week of the program, we end up having extra time anyway because it's a full song. It's not 5 different songs. So I think that
Hmm.
actually, I'll definitely take that into consideration and give that a trial run on the next student for sure. But I said to you as well, you can send yours over to me as well. And
Oh yeah, I feel like going forward, I think that'll
yeah,
really
yeah,
help out your program a lot,
yeah, yeah.
Justin.
I think so
And
too.
along with the testimonials and everybody giving their progress, because I have made great progress.
Hmm,
I have made more progress doing this than I had the entire 10 plus years of producing music.
hmm.
Yeah, it helps having the coach because the coach, that's their job, is to see what you're doing wrong and to correct you into fixing those mistakes and creating better habits. So this has probably been one of the best investments I've ever made along of so far in my music.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you trusting me and Callum and just the industry set in general to be a part of your journey. Because I remember before I even started industry set, you reached out to me and we got an off kind of lesson fucking ages ago, and so we built trust even before even built industry set. So it was nice to have you in this program because I was like, oh yeah, now we can kind of finish off where we pick up where we left off from ages ago. So that was
Right.
quite
And then
nice.
that's the thing is you don't know who to trust. There's so many people trying to sell you stuff online
Yeah.
that being able to build that trust with you at first and knowing that seeing not just what you did with or what you're doing with industry set, but what you did with Defier and with what was the other one? Forbidden Society, that Jackson knows exactly what he's talking about. He knows exactly what he's doing. I trust this man, and I'm so glad it paid off,
Hell yeah. Awesome,
and it's
man.
continuing to pay off.
We still got like 12 months now as well, starting now. So you just show up to as many sessions as possible because it's going to really help having that camaraderie. I think it's the camaraderie more than anything. You're just being around other people that are also pushing it because you said
Mm-hmm.
before falling off track even for a couple of weeks can be so detrimental to the momentum. So
Right, and all your
having
progress.
that in place is going to help you lay on track with everything as well. And you don't have to even show up to the more production stuff. It's even just the general chit chat ones. It's still the same thing, really. You're awesome.
Feedbacks. So with the feedbacks, my question is, you just bring anything you're working on during the week, and so do you have to submit ahead of time? I
You can
think
just
how
show
you're
up on
doing
you
with
can
it.
just show up on the day and just put it in the chat. Pretty
Cool.
chill like that.
And
And
so not too overloaded yet.
it's because there's so many different sessions on per week, it's kind of chill. There's only about 8 to 10 people per feedback session, which is quite nice. It's not chaotic
Okay,
yet.
cool.
But when it becomes more chaotic later on, I'll have some systems in place where it'd be like submission forms and stuff like that. But right now it's like super chill.
Nice. Cool.
One last question as well. If anybody who's watching this video and is on the fence about checking out industry set, what advice would you give to them about the program and your experience?
Just do it. If you're on the fence, hop that fence. Because like I said earlier with Jackson, he has a history of this sort of thing and helping people get to the next level. He's been doing it for quite a long time. I first heard of him with Defier, and I was on the fence as well. I was on the fence with Defier, industry, Forbidden Society. I just didn't have the time or the money at that point. But once I saw industry set roll around, And I was like, okay, I feel like this is the time to do it. And it was a great time. It's like I said earlier, the best investment I made with my music. So just do it, as they say.
Awesome. Really appreciate